Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to my Fallout 4 Mod Spotlight series, where today we are having a look at the Disruptor mod, which is being released by user Degenerate Dak. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is an absolutely awesome new Institute weapon for you to enjoy in the form of the Disruptor. And this thing is pretty nifty. I originally didn't think too much of it because it is, well, not exactly powerful. In fact, as a gun, it's fairly weak as far as other energy weapons go in the game, but where this thing shines is in its unique utility effects. You can add things to this gun like the ability to stun your enemies, which is pretty cool and can do some interesting things to change up your playstyle with some of the bits and bobs this weapon can do for you. We'll talk more about that though when we get to the modification category, but first let's jump on over here and have a look at what exactly we are getting with the Institute Disruptor, which in its most basic and standard form will do 25 energy damage with a typical fusion cell, with a firing rate of 33, range of 119, accuracy of 152, for a weight of 5.2. Not too bad there. And as you can see, this thing is a pretty good looking gun, certainly does match the aesthetic of the Institute, and is, you know, the usual bulky weapon as with all Institute guns, and, well, let's be honest, most Fallout 4 guns. That's always bothered me a bit, but oh well, it fits the aesthetic, so good times. And overall, it's just very nice on both the modeling and texturing. I do like the details on this thing, especially, I don't know why, but for some reason the cabling really does it for me. It's nifty. And of course does have the fun animated electrical effect that at least animates when you're out in the world, not in the Pip-Boy though. Now the slightly disappointing part for this gun is the pretty lackluster amount of modifications that we do have for this thing. But again, where this thing is really awesome and where it shines is in the effects that can be added in. This is never going to be all that impressive of a weapon for taking down and killing your enemies, but what it can do to change up your fighting strategy is pretty great. And you do that through the barrel category, where we've got 4 different barrels that do different damages or different utility effects. Again, more on that in a little bit. But overall though, still a nifty little pistol that I do find myself enjoying far more than I originally expected to. Now, as for how you do get your hands on one of these lovely things, well, it's pretty simple. You can find one of them in the world over at Green Tech Genetics, and you'll find it up on the top floor where that courser normally is, just sitting there on, if I'm remembering right, a filing cabinet. Now, if you don't feel like going after a courser and you just want to find one in the world, well, you'll start seeing them spawning on various synths at level 10. So yeah, there's one in the world to grab, or just, you know, wait for the level list injection. Now, I should have mentioned this before, I almost forgot, there is a DLC requirement, though, for this thing to function, and that is the Automatron DLC. So do also keep that in mind. If you don't have that DLC, you won't be able to install this lovely gun. Now we can move on over to the modifications and the weapon workbench, and start in the capacitor category, where we've got the pretty typical stuff for energy weapons, from, you know, the standard to photon, exciters, agitators, up to the most powerful overcharge capacitor, giving you a base damage increase up to 43 there, which of course can be upped even further with any additional perks that may be of value to you, and of course also improve the ammo capacity there. Very nice. So yeah, that's kind of going to be, again, without perks, really where you're going to be sitting damage-wise for this thing, which is why I keep saying that it's not the most useful of weapons. Where this thing really shines is the barrels. Now the first two, whoops, I tabbed out. The first 2 barrels just really stick with the general damage. The standard barrel is going to shoot basically like a beam of lightning at things, which is pretty nifty, and the magnetron barrel is going to shoot like a little ball of condensed energy, and that will do damage, which, you know, not exactly the greatest in the world again with that damage number, but even these have some utility. Wherever you hit, the energy is actually going to stay and continue zapping things for a little bit. so you get a little damage over time, which is always cool. Now where things get real fun is in the Pulse Barrel, which fires a ring of energy that will paralyze any organic enemies and short-circuit robotic enemies so that they actually, become your friends, which is real weird. They'll stop attacking you and attack anything else. And then we have the Overcharge Barrel, which I think is my favorite one, because this one, along with doing the usual damage, will just completely shut down robots and power armor. Don't feel like fighting a sentry bot? Zap it with this, and it just shuts down, never to turn on again. Got a lot of Brotherhood of Steel coming after you? Shut down their power armor, then they're gonna have to get out and fight you on foot. It's magnificent. So these two will give you some great utility, and even these, with the damage over time aspect, is kinda nifty. And then finally, we've got the grip category, where we have just two, a standard grip and a light grip. Personally, even though this one gives you better action point costs, I like this. It just looks neat having that handguard in there. Good times. Now let's go take a look at this thing firing, and I'll just go straight to my 4 different modified versions that I do have down here. One for each of the different barrel types to show them off, which is one of the issues I do have with this mod. It doesn't have any way of showing you which is which in the name. As you can see, they're just all overcharged Institute Disruptor pistols, even though they of course have different, like that one's the Pulse Barrel there, that one's the Magnetron Barrel. I kind of wish it would put that into the name, because I will probably carry around, when I keep this in my games, multiples of these, at least 2, one for the Overcharged and one for the Pulse, and it'd be nice to have a more convenient way to see which is which, but oh well, I've got them in order on my favorites. So the first favorite here is the just standard barrel, the basic one, firing the Electric Arc, and as you can see, that electricity stays for a little bit. Like I did mention, if you do have an enemy, it's gonna zap them whenever they get close to that ball of energy that's been left behind, which is pretty cool. Now then, on the Magnetron Barrel, we're gonna get the same thing with the energy stand there for a bit, but you can see it's now a just ball of energy going down that way, which again, nifty, I like. And the fact that they stay there for a bit is pretty cool. So even though per shot it's not going to do a lot of damage, it does some pretty fun damage over time. And of course, I didn't show off the animation with the first shot there. Get the energy cell that pops up, we reload, and we're good to go. Good times indeed. Now on the third one, I've got the Pulse Barrel. This is the one that will stun enemies and short-circuit robots. And yeah, it's basically, using that same sort of circular particle effect as like the radium rifles, along with a ball of energy in the middle. And yeah, it will still leave a ball of energy on the ground for a bit, but this one will of course stun your enemies or short-circuit robots. And finally, we got the Overcharge Barrel. And this one will only give you 3 shots, since it is so powerful, I assume is why, to help balance it out. But yeah, every shot will shut down any electrical enemy, whether it be power armor or robots, and that's just freaking cool. So let's actually test that out first, and I'm actually going to go into God mode for a change to do the testing, because I don't really care about me killing anyone. We're going to shut some things down. So let's keep this one open for now and spawn in a sentry bot to show off the just shut down nature of this particular gun. And zap. There we go. He's down. He's still alive. He's there. We can still shoot him and damage him, and you can even go around and hack him if you so desire. But yeah, this robot is shut down. He's just no longer going to be a problem, which is pretty neat. And equally, if we pull out the pulse gun here and spawn in another, there we go. We shot him and he now no longer thinks of us as an enemy. But even better, if I do spawn in our usual Death Claw, okay, there we go, that's the one. And run away, run away, run away, there we are. He will now go after him, and fun part, I can stun the Death Claw. It only lasts for about 5 seconds, but the Death Claw is now on the ground. Oh, look, he's awake. Not anymore, he's not. So thanks to the pulse barrel, I can, you know, zap a sentry bot and cause him to be my friend, and then use the pulse barrel to, you know, stun any enemies that are around to let him kill them. And that's just great. I really, really do like that. It's just fun. In fact, let's spawn another. Take that, Deathclaw! It's just magnificent. Oh, wait, he's waking up. There we go. Not any longer. Wonderful. And, yeah, those are my two favorite. I absolutely love the pulse and overcharge barrels. They are just great. But with the basic and magnetron barrels, they do still have their uses. For instance, we'll go over to the shutdown one so we don't anger him. Like I said, the balls of energy will stay in the world, so if we shoot at his feet, you can see, oh, it actually did arc to him too. I forgot about that. It shot an arc of lightning both at him and at our other robot over there. So if you get too close to them, they still get zapped. You can see he is getting some damage over time. And if we switch to the magnetron one there, that does not do the arc lightning. It will just zap whatever is closest, again with some nice damage over time, which is pretty nifty. Though the basic one is kind of nifty though as well with that arc, just because even if you miss an enemy, it may still zap them. Like, there we go, we shot over there, but it still zapped him, which is just wonderful. But let's take him down, because, well, I no longer need him. And yeah, we just shut him down with a simple shot of a pulse barrel, or the overcharge, rather. And again, same thing will happen to any enemies in power armor. It's just glorious. And yeah, that's the joy of the Disruptor. It may not be the most powerful thing ever. Like, if I wanted to destroy this sentry bot here, I mean, we've shot him a fair few times, and that's all we've done to him. But thanks to the pulse barrel and the overcharged barrel, this thing is more than worth it. It is just so great being able to stun organic enemies, short-circuit robots, or just shut down robots in power armor overall. That's so useful and can really change up how you'll fight enemies. You may enter into a room, zap everyone good, then pull out your gun, your proper destructive gun, and then just put them down while they're down. And that is magnificent. But yeah, that's really it to look at here for the Disruptor. It's just a fun, strange little utility weapon that I very much do enjoy. And if you'd like to take a look at it for yourself, which I'd certainly recommend you go and do, you have a look at the link in the description of the video as per usual. But that, my friends, is gonna be it for this one today. Hopefully you have enjoyed and you do come back for whatever mod we do look at next. But until that time, thank you for watching, and as always, oh, that was a good arcing. Have a good one.